Hello, and welcome to Mean Street News. Mean Street News is here to provide accurate news to help citizens affect change in their local government and beyond. Being nice is overrated. It is time to be real. I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. The time to step up and step in is now. So please come join me, Katie, over on Mean Street News to discuss Ohio politics and beyond. I hope to see you there. Hello. Hello and welcome to Mean Street News. If you are returning, welcome back. And if you're new here, hello, I'm Katie. Tonight we're getting into part 7 of the Ohio 4. Tonight we're going to be talking about Barbara Long. Last time you guys were here, we talked about Delphina. We went over the interview from August 13th, the day before the first of the 4 were arrested in Lorain, Ohio for obstruction, not for this crime. That wouldn't be until a little bit later. Leavenworth was arrested the next day. Delphina Geis was his girlfriend, and we heard that interview. If you're new here, we are talking about the Ohio 4 men that were wrongfully convicted, what I believe wrongfully convicted of the murder of Marsha Blakely, and never convicted for the murder of Floyd Epps, even though the police at the time thought the 2 crimes were related due to them being roommates and everything like that. So last time we talked about Delphina Geis and what she said about, the Ford of the detective was pretty convincing that, nothing was going on there. And before we get to her interview, I wanted to pause and have you guys listen to Barbara Long. Now, Barbara Long came in on August 21st. It was after all the initial interviews were done, which is Willie Mincy, the boyfriend that was with her the night of last person to see her, was with her at 2 a.m. They were arguing, who knows about what. Multiple witnesses saw them together. Gwen Mincy, who is Willie Mincy's sister, also saw Willie that night, later in the night. We heard from Herbert Wallace, Delphina Geis, and now we are going to hear from Barbara Long. And this interview is between Detective Resendez and Detective Taliano, who we have all heard in this case. And she decided to come forward because she actually dropped Marsha off at her home at 11 o'clock, between 11, what'd you say, 11 o'clock? Like 11 o'clock, 11:30, which I think was closer to 11 o'clock, but 11 o'clock, 11:30 on 8/7/91. She was found the morning of 8/8/91. So that night, a couple hours before she was killed, Barbara Long had dropped her off at her home and was supposed to be picking her up the next morning. You didn't mess this up. It's at 10:55, about 10:55. The next morning, she was going to, because she said she was going to bed. Yeah, it was 11 o'clock. The next morning, about 11:30, she was going to pick her, 10 o'clock the next morning. 10, I can't remember my handwriting sometimes. 11 o'clock the next morning, she was going to pick her up and take her out to Elyria with her. And go see her out to the west side of Lorain, go see her kids again. And then she was going out to Elyria. So she actually showed up at the house the next morning at 11 o'clock, walked in, saw Marsha's shoe by the bed and her purse by the front door. So I want you guys, she was like a godmother to Marsha. Marsha's dad had died the year previous, and her mother the 2 years previous. And ever since her parents died, Barbara Long kind of looked out for Marsha and, just talked to her and was there for her as a friend. Clearly, she knew the family. But tonight, we're not going to do anything extra. We're going to get right into this interview because I want you guys to hear from Barbara. I probably should have opened it before, but I didn't. So, oh well. All right. So, like I said, it's going to be Detective Richard Zendez. And this is at 3:48 p.m. on August 21st, 1991. So, the 13th is when Delphina Geis's interview was. This is the week after. That's why I said is after her second interview as well, that you guys haven't listened to yet, that you'll listen to in a couple days. So this is Barbara Long. Let me share.
Today's Wednesday, August 21st, 1991. It's about 3:48 p.m. in the afternoon. Interview with
Barbara.
B-A-R-B-A-R-A.
Yes. Long, L-O-N-G.
How old are you, Barbara?
42.
And your address?
1293, Massachusetts.
And your date of birth?
3749.
49. And your social security number? 2525. Okay, you're down here, obviously, because we're investigating 2 homicides, that of Marsha Blakely and Floyd Epps. You related to our record room officer, Patrolman Barrios, that she has some information about things that happened prior to.
Yes.
We're talking on Wednesday, it would be August 7th, and to the early morning hours of Thursday, August 8th. What do you know there?
Marsha had been with me all day. It was the anniversary of her father's death.
Are you and Marsha related somehow?
I babysitted for her mother. I had taken care of all of them at one time or another during their lives.
You babysitted for Marsha's mother?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she was like my child since her mother had died last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I took her to her sister Lisa's house to see her children because she was feeling so bad.
What was she feeling bad about? About the anniversary?
Yeah, her father's death.
How long has it been?
About 2 years now.
Okay.
And her mother died last year.
Okay.
And
sorry, I mixed them
took
up.
her over to Lisa.
Yeah, and I promised Lorain, the 4-year-old, that I would bring her back the next morning.
Which would be Thursday?
Yeah, so I saw her off and on all day. About 11 or between 11 and 11:30, I took her home to Floyd's house.
Okay. We're talking 11:30 at night?
Yeah. And
where'd you pick her up at to take her home?
She came to my car, which was parked on Lorain Drive. My daughter lives on 21st, but I have to park the car on Lorain Drive. Mm-hmm. She came over to the car. Whenever she sees the car, she comes over to see me. And she said she was going home. And I said, okay. And I took her home. She changed shoes in the car. She took off her British Knights and put on her slippers. Her and my daughter have the same kind of slippers.
What kind is that?
I think hers were black with little hearts on them. My daughter's are blue and they have little hearts on them. She said, I'm leaving the shoes in the car because I'm in for the night. I'm not going anywhere else.
Her British Knight, she was leaving in the car.
She said, because you're coming in the morning at 11 o'clock. I said, right. She said, okay, I'm leaving the shoes because I'm in for the night. Sometimes I would sit out in the car and talk to her. that night, I think we talked for about 5 or 10 minutes, and I said, make sure you stay in for the night, like you said. She said, of course I am. I don't have my shoes.
Was she straight?
I know she had drugs that day. I don't know how much. And
Excuse me.
I told her goodbye. I went back over on Lorain Drive. I talked to my daughter, and then I said, let's go to the car wash. That's what I don't understand. We stayed at the car wash till almost 1 o'clock because we were clowning around washing the car. And I keep feeling that it happened while we were there at the car wash. It's awful. And then about 11:05, we were at Floyd's house. And I blew the horn because usually if I blew the horn, she came out. She didn't come out.
Did not.
You know. So I sent my daughter to the door and said, knock on the door and see if she's woke. The door was open. My daughter opened the storm door and she said, nobody's here. Her purse is here. One of her house shoes is here. And I never thought anything about the one shoe being there. I totally forgot about her shoes being in the.
Now, I want to remind you all, Marsha was found at 9:18 in the morning. So she went to Marsha's house at 11 a.m. and maybe a little after, but about 11 a.m. And her daughter went to the screen door. They honked. Marsha wasn't home. Daughter went to the screen door, and she brings up the shoe because the missing, there was a shoe missing at the crime scene. Marsha had one of her slippers on, but not the other one. And the other one ended up being, as she'll state multiple times here, at Marsha Blakely, Floyd Epps' house. Marsha Blakely apparently somehow left it there. Maybe she was in a hurry, But I wanted to make that clear. They found her at 9:18. She arrived at the house at 11, and there was no Marsha
in the car. And I said, okay, if her purse is there, she hasn't gone that far. So I went to.
Just like we said, Mrs. Long, if her purse is there, she hasn't gone that far. No woman is going to let some guy just keep her purse. It's just not a thing. It's funny. She just said that. I'm rewinding a little bit.
My daughter opened the storm door and she said, nobody's here. Her purse is here. One of her house shoes is here. And I never thought anything about the one shoe being there. I totally forgot about her shoes being in the car. And I said, okay, if her purse is there, she hasn't gone that far. So I went to a couple of people's houses and they said they hadn't seen her. I went back, went to the door again. And that's when we noticed that the mattress was half off the bed. But that didn't bother me either. None of this bothered me for some reason. But I knew if the purse was there, she hadn't gone that far. And I took some girl to Elyria to pick up her food stamps. And when I got back, that's when I found out it had happened. And Timmy told me that the purse and the shoe were not there. And they were there at 11:05. They were in that house. My daughter can vouch for that.
Okay, you told me a lot of things.
I wonder why Tim Blakely said the purse and the shoe were not there. Maybe that's just talk, but she's very clear that they were there when she was.
And I didn't want to interrupt you, but what I want to do is go back and sort of take this piece by piece.
Okay.
Now, you said you were over on Lorain Drive.
Yeah, right at the corner.
What time did you drop Marsha off at her sister's?
No, I didn't drop her off. I took her across the bridge
To the east side.
about 3 or 4 in the afternoon.
We're talking about her sister Lisa.
Yes, and we stayed for maybe a half an hour.
Okay.
And I brought her back
To
to the west side.
Okay. And you said you were over there half an hour, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So from roughly 5 p.m.
Yeah. I saw her off and on.
Over around Lorain Drive area?
Yeah. Because I dropped her off at Dale Farms store.
Okay.
It sits right there on the corner. And I parked right there on Lorain Drive because the house is on 21st Street. And
what time was that?
It was
that you dropped her off at Dale Farm?
Probably around 4.
Okay.
And I saw her off and on all day.
Okay.
because she was running back and forth. And whenever she'd come over, you know, because we were usually sitting on the car and talk a little bit and say, "I'll be back." You know, sometimes she wouldn't come back. Most of the time she would. And she knew that I usually left going back across the bridge between 11, 11:30, 12 o'clock. So like I said, it was between 11 and 11:30 when I dropped her off at Floyd's because she said she was in for the night.
Okay. I asked you, was she straight? You know, and you indicated that she had been smoking some crack
Yeah,
that day.
yeah. Like I said, she was running back and forth from the street.
The strip.
Yeah, Marshall Reeves, whatever that street is, and going back to Floyd's house.
Okay. When you dropped her off at 11:05, 11:10 p.m., was she beat up? Was she
No.
scared? What kind of state of
She was
mind was she
fine.
in?
I mean, she wasn't like high, you know, crazy high. She was fine.
Just plain old Marsha.
Yeah, and she changed her shoes because she was in for the night. She said, "I'm leaving the shoes in your car because you'll be here at 11 in the morning."
What was she wearing?
Jeans and a blue shirt.
Okay. Pull up sweatshirt, pull over.
Just a shirt that buttoned down the front.
Okay.
And she had her purse and the slippers. The slippers, I'm almost sure, were black with white hearts.
But you put them both on.
Yeah.
And you dropped her off at Floyd's?
Yeah.
Was Floyd there?
I don't know. I didn't go in. I just drop her off usually. And I wait until she goes in the house and then I pulled off.
Did she go in?
Yeah, she went in the house. Like I said, she said she was in for the night. And I waited till she got in the house and I went back to Lorain Drive. My daughter and I talked for maybe a half an hour and I said, "Let's go wash the car." And we went up to the car wash and we didn't leave the car wash till probably 1:45.
The car wash on the
Right,
road?
yeah. And then I came back and I left about 3 in the morning because we were sitting in the car cleaning it out and talking, and it was about 3 because I kept saying, "I don't believe I'm sitting here." And it was about 11:05 when I got there the next morning.
And
that's when I blew the horn for Marsha. And like I said, the door was open, the shoe was there, the purse was there, and the mattress was hanging off the bed. But I had only been in the house once before, and it's not, you know, a sturdy bed. It's the type where the mattress would come off, you know, if you moved on it and stuff. So I didn't think anything of it.
how did Floyd usually keep his house?
I don't know. There wasn't. The one time I was in there was a chair against one wall. Marsha had like 2 pads, maybe couch cushions on the floor and a sheet. There's a table and I think 1 chair and a bed against the wall over by the bathroom. I don't think there was a television or anything like that. Because I had only been in once.
Did you see the purse in the house?
The purse was sitting there.
Where?
By the door. Like it had just been dropped on the floor, you know, and the shoe was laying over by the bed more or less. My daughter can explain the position of the shoe and the purse better than I can. Because I was just thinking the purse is here, she hasn't gone far.
Did you know anything about the shoe and purse?
No.
Prior to? Or why does that stand out in your mind?
Because she never went anywhere without her purse. I mean, no matter what time of day or night you saw Marsha, she always had her purse. And when I saw the purse on the floor, I figured she was in the neighborhood because she never went anywhere without it. And I told my daughter, I said, "Well, the purse is here. She hasn't gone that far." So I went to 3 people's house that I knew she usually would go to during the morning hours to see if she was there because she knew I was coming. And none of them had seen her either, but nothing like that occurred to me. I mean, the shoe didn't even register because I had forgot her shoes were in the car.
Okay.
And seeing the one house shoe didn't even register.
But you saw this one house
the
shoe.
shoe and the purse were there.
And then who said that it wasn't there?
Mark said that the shoe and the purse weren't there.
Mark who?
Blakely, her twin brother.
Okay. What time was he there?
No, he said that some police officer told him the shoe and the purse weren't there.
Okay.
But it is.
So Mark Blakely is her twin brother, and apparently he told the police that, or the police had told him that her shoe and her purse were not at the apartment. And she's making it very adamant to the detectives that she knows that they were there because she was there at 11 o'clock in the morning. And we know that they were there because Willie Mincy said that he left the purse there. Then later interviews didn't know, but he had originally, his original 2 interviews, he said he left the purse there. And, you know, the shoe, we know that the shoe was missing from the crime scene. She only had one of her shoes on. So.
At 11:05, they were there. The television, there was a television because the television wasn't on, but the shoe was there and the purse was there and the door was open.
The television was not on?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. But my daughter, like I said, she saw them first. And then when I went back to the house to see if she had come back, the shoe, the purse, and the television wasn't on.
Mm-hmm.
But they were there.
Okay. Where would she go when she was on the drive?
What on
the drive around, you know, back and forth from Lorain Drive to the Strip?
I don't know. I lost sight of Marsha one day. I dropped her off and she said, come back and pick me up. And by the time I turned the car around, she was just disappeared. It was like she wasn't even there. Mm-hmm. And so I went on to my daughter's and parked the car. And like 20 minutes later, I saw her and I said, where were you? And she just laughed. I don't know any of the people that she actually dealt with. And I don't know any other houses where she went to smoke. That part, she never let me in on.
You know, you telling us that Marsha smoked dope, you're not telling us a big secret here.
Yeah,
everybody
I know that.
knows that. Did she smoke dope every day?
As far as I know, yes.
Whenever
she had could? Told me, yes, she had told me when she got released from jail this last time. And I saw her and I said, how long have you been out? She said, a half an hour, and I'm going over here. And I asked her why. I said, you've been clean for 30 days. Why? And she told me because she liked it.
Okay.
When you're talking about 11:05, you're talking about
At
next
night.
morning?
Oh, when I went to pick her up, yes.
And that's when you said the shoe?
The shoe was there and the purse was there.
The purse was there?
Yes.
That's Rosanna's
After you got your car washed,
I think
you dropped her off.
No, my daughter and I washed the car. I had already taken Marsha home before we washed the car.
Yeah. You dropped her off at Floyd's and then you went to the car wash.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was about a half an hour after I dropped her off when we decided to wash the car.
Okay. Then after you washed the car, you went back over around Lorain Drive to roughly
my
3.
daughter's house. Yes. That I think that's
what's your daughter's address?
Something like 2210.
What's her name?
Shina Barnett. West 21st. I think it's 2210. That's why I had forgotten about the shoes, because when we were cleaning the car, she took the shoes and put them in the trunk with all the other stuff that needed to be in the trunk.
Who did?
My daughter, because she asked whose shoes they were. And I said, Marsha's. And she said, I'm putting them in the trunk.
The British Knights?
Yeah.
Were you outside from the time you dropped her off? You washed your car and cleaned your car?
Yeah, we sat in the car.
You didn't see?
No, that's what bothers me so much, because I figure if it happened at that time, we were at the car wash right across the tracks, but there was no noise or anything, and we didn't leave the car wash till like 1:45.
Did you see any cars?
No,
There were
nothing. Nobody turned that corner. 2 cars came into the car wash.
Mm-hmm.
One was a truck, one was a car, but no heavy traffic at all.
What about to the rear of the plaza?
No, there were no lights or
notice-
anything. We
notice
didn't notice anything. Nothing unusual happened while we were at the car wash, because we came back and we were cleaning the windows. And then we just sat in the car, like I said, till about 3 o'clock in the morning. And even when I got there the next morning, 2 police cars came by and a detective's car. And I kept thinking, there's a lot of police out here this morning. And when I left to take this girl to Elyria for her food stamps, we went because my mother lives in Marshall Apartments, and there were a lot of police cars there. And I said, they're after somebody, but I didn't find out until we got back from Elyria, and that was almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
When you dropped Marsha off that evening, you say you dropped her off at Floyd's.
Mhm.
Did you see anybody around?
No,
You know, if you know Floyd's house,
Right.
there's a couch.
yeah, sitting in the yard.
Right.
There was nobody out, nobody at all. Because usually if I took her to Floyd's, it was always before 12, before Willie got off work.
Willie, her boyfriend.
Yeah, Mincy,
What was the relationship between them?
on and off.
Was it on?
Yeah, kind of for a while. For about 2 weeks it had been on.
Now she's saying Willie Mincy and Gwen's relationship, they were on and off, but the previous 2 weeks to, this date before she was murdered, they were on. But Willie Mincy said they hadn't been also talking because they were fighting about stuff. So, and like Marsha even said to Willie Mincy, don't, come down to a Floyd Epps on your bullshit. Clearly they were in, they were heading into an off stage, apparently, I think. So now this next part is important.
She have any bruises or anything on her?
She had a red spot in her eye where he had hit her. The whole thing had been red, but it had just barely started clearing out.
The white of her eye, or did she have a black eye?
The white of her eye.
Okay, but she didn't have a black eye.
No. Well, it had been at first, but the black eye.
So Barbara Long is saying that, when he asked was she hurt or anything, she said no, she wasn't hurt, but a couple weeks prior, Willie Mincy had beat Marsha and apparently given her a black eye to where the white part of your eye up here, she's saying that she had a big red mark that was just starting to heal. So like a broken blood vessel or something. But what's really important about this, not only is the fact that, she had already had her one eye was damaged by, Willie Mincy punching her in the face, clearly, or hitting her in the face, whatever the hell he did to her. The fact that, Willie Mincy has a history of violence with Marsha and, between a boyfriend, girlfriend, domestic violence relationship. Because that's not normal to, give your girlfriend a black eye. But clearly in their relationship that was, according to Barbara Long.
I was gone, started clearing out.
The white of her eye, or did she have a black eye?
The white of her eye.
Okay, but she didn't have a black eye.
No. Well, it had been at first, but the black eye was gone. It was just a big red spot on the white.
How old was injury was that?
About 2 weeks.
Can you tell if you looked at her? If you didn't know her, can you tell she had a black eye?
Yeah, she wore shades for about a week and a half, but the red spot was really, really big. I don't know if it was the right or left eye. I can't even remember which side it was on.
You still got her shoes?
Yeah, they're still in the trunk of my car.
Okay.
So you were pretty good friends then?
Yeah, I've known her all her life.
Would she tell you if something was wrong?
Yeah, I mean,
Even as far as if she was involved with some
yeah,
drugs?
she would tell me everything. I mean, and like I said, she wasn't, as far as I know, she didn't owe anybody any money because she went out to stores and she stole everything, sold it, and made her money for her drugs. So as far as I know, she didn't owe anybody for any drugs. And if she
So clearly, Barbara Long saying that if, Marsha Blakely had owed some drug dealers some money, Marsha would have said something to Barbara Long about it because she, divulged a lot of her personal issues with no judgment to Barbara Long. And again, she says, she wouldn't have owed anybody money because she boosted and did other things in order to, obtain money for her addiction. But this is really important because she's killing Detective Taliano and Resendez this whole story on how she, smoked up somebody's dope or owed somebody a drug debt, blase, blase, blase. Barbara Long saying she didn't owe anybody money. She wasn't that kind of addict. You know what I mean? Like she boosted and, did what she did. She supported her own habit basically. And that if she would have owed anybody money at the time, if she would have been in trouble with anybody, she would have told, if anyone, Barbara Long.
She had, I think she would have told me, paid her money for her drugs. So as far as I know, she didn't owe anybody for any drugs. And if she had, I think she would have told me. She would have told somebody. She didn't say anything ever. And after I had taken her to see the Lorain, her spirits got up higher. She was more or less happy for the rest of the day. And she knew I was coming the next morning to pick her up.
She never mentioned that she was in fear of anybody that
No,
lived on Reeves Avenue or
No.
anything?
no.
Would she walk freely among that
Yeah,
area?
she was always, going back and forth. I could be sitting out on the car, we could be sitting on the car, and you could look up and you would see Marsha coming off Reeves Avenue, running across by the store, because sometimes they would take the shortcuts through the woods. And I see her on and off all day. And as far as I know, nobody would want to hurt her. She was harmless.
Mhm.
And all day that day I had seen her.
Have you heard any stories, Barbara?
No, I don't.
Mhm.
I'm not in that atmosphere. And I don't know any. I see people and I recognize them, or somebody will say that's so and so, but I don't know any of them really personally. And there is nothing for me to hear. I have no idea who or why, because her and Floyd they were harmless,
Mhm.
both of them.
Well, you live out in Massachusetts, right? Where's Lisa live?
Lisa lives around the corner of Fillmore.
What has Lisa and her family said? Have you talked to them?
I talked to Timmy Sunday, and he's still up in the air. He was the one that asked me to come down here. Uh, he tells me very little. He says he knows who did it. He says, you know who did it.
The police?
Yeah, and he says he wants action. I don't know. He's still upset.
Did he
I'm
mention
still
who?
upset. It hasn't really sunk in yet.
Did he mention who?
No, he won't mention any names. He just told me that he sees the person and they grin in his face, but he won't tell me anything like names or anything.
So Nick Blakely, the son of Tim Blakely, said that the person, not persons, smiles in his face every day and said, you know who it is. Willie, the boyfriend.
But you for sure, Marsha went in the house, Floyd's house.
Yeah, because I sat there until she got in the house.
Okay.
Where was the slipper in relation to the door?
The slipper was by the mattress.
By the bedroom then?
Yeah, well, it's like one room. And where the bed was, the slipper was over by the mattress and the purse was over by the door. But because it was by the door and the mats that she slept on were close to the door, I didn't think anything of it because, like I said, she never went anywhere without the purse, so I didn't figure she had gone that far.
Mhm.
And she never carried anything in the purse. There was nothing in the purse. I mean, unless she had just come out of a store, there was nothing in it because I have all her ID. She had just given that to me 3 or 4 days before that happened because she said she didn't want to leave it in the house. And she never carried it with her. But she didn't trust it in the house. She said people come in the house. So she gave me her social security card and her 2 welfare IDs.
Would Marsha be the type to steal somebody's dope?
No, she never had that I knew of.
What about if she found somebody's dope? Who would she go to cook it up, smoke it up with? Who was
I
her
think
friend?
she knew how to cook it herself.
Who was her friend?
I don't know. I have no idea. She never let me in on any of that. I never really asked her about any of those people. I think she knew how to cook herself.
Yeah. Okay.
But like I said, outside of Floyd's house, I couldn't tell you where she smoked that. But she never, I wasn't a part of it. She didn't bring me into it. I was the person she came to talk to.
But if she was scared of somebody,
I think she would have come to me, yes. She would have said something. And that day, like I said, she wasn't afraid of anybody. She was fine after she got over her melancholy about her father. After I brought her back from visiting her children, she was fine. She was laughing and talking for the rest of the day. And
okay.
I don't think she wasn't that type of person to try to steal somebody's drugs.
Well, we hear a lot of things, and we haven't narrowed it down to any specific thing, but we've heard, a couple versions of what's out on the street. And to tell you the truth, I don't know where we're going to go with it. We're just gathering the information at this time, and we're trying to piece it together left and right. Up until this point, we haven't been able to. At least nobody has come forward besides yourself, but now and say, okay, she was here at this time and I dropped her off at this time,
That's completely untrue. That is a lie. Resendez. That is Resendez talking, by the way. That is a lie. Because Willie Mincy said, I was with her that night till 2 in the morning. I was with her. I saw her outside of my mom's house. Mary Jane Gonzalez saw her 12:30. Gwen Mincy says that she saw her and Willie arguing on the corner around 12 and then saw him later that night as well. So no one's come forward and you don't know where you're going to go with this yet? Is that because you already know that you're going to plan on framing, Lenny, who's now sitting in jail, and Shakim and, Ian and Al? You'll have 4. So you're not really concerned about solving this murder. You're more concerned about, who you want to set up. Because saying that no witnesses come forward, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. You know who was with her. You know who fled when you showed up to their house. You know who lied and made up stories about the Detroit, the Cubans, the Puerto Ricans, now the New York, who didn't even know the New York people's names, and they know the name if they know them. No, I do, I don't know. All the different stories. Said that Marsha had a knife in her purse. Said that Marsha and him were fighting. She said, don't come down to Floyd's. He went there anyways. Had a breakdown during his interview, crying, I shouldn't have gone down there. I shouldn't have gone down there that night because you killed her. This woman was outside at the car wash where it's actually like north of where the body was dumped. Saw nobody until 1 o'clock in the morning. Then she was on West 21st in front of her daughter's house and saw and heard nothing till about 3 in the morning. According to the next person after Delphina that we're going to listen to, this all happened at 11 o'clock. Well, Barbara Long dropped off Marsha at Floyd Epps' house at 11 o'clock. So how did this beating occur with the Ohio 4, according to this fake witness that you guys are going to hear about, if she was dropped off there? And then she was seen. And we've tracked Marsha's steps we're pretty close. There's just there's a couple hours time lapsing where I think she was killed, but we know who she was with last. Willie Mincy.
So your information, is going to come inside yourself, but now and say, okay, she was here at this time, and I dropped her off at this time. So your information, is going to come in pretty valuable here. We'll put it together with what we have, and we'll try to go from there. The slipper, though, your daughter saw it.
Yeah, we both saw the purse and the slipper.
You saw it too.
Yeah. Because the door was open
Uh,
and the storm door wasn't locked.
and you saw that at 11:05.
Yeah, because I stopped to get coffee and I said, we gotta hurry. I told Marsha I'd be there at 11. And by the time I looked at the clock and it was around 11:05 when I pulled up.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, when she didn't come out, when I blew the horn, I sent my daughter to the door.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, her purse is there. I said, well, she hasn't gone too far. And then when I stopped and asked a couple of people and they hadn't seen her, I went back to the house and I went to the door and the purse was still there and the shoe was over by the bed. But they were there. And we both saw them.
Okay. All right.
Did she turn, was she a prostitute? Did she do tricks for sex? Or for drugs?
She told me about one man. She didn't mention his name. And she said he's always good for $100 whenever I see him. And it wasn't like she saw him once a week or anything like that. She never mentioned his name. She never told me anything about him. Mm-hmm. Because she knew those kind of things made me mad. But as far as just like every day, no, because like I said, she went out to the stores and she stole stuff. Mm-hmm. And she sold it. She either sold it to the dealers for the drug or she'd sell it to whoever wanted to buy it for the money so that she could go get the drug.
She owe anybody?
No. Because sometimes it was the drug dealers themselves that placed orders, as she called them. Mm-hmm. And she would go out and get what they wanted from the stores. So she didn't really owe anybody that I know about.
Do you have a phone number?
No.
Okay. Just one more question. This guy that was good for 100, even though she didn't mention him by name, did she refer to him by anything?
No, I know he was white.
White guy?
She never mentioned his name. Once I asked her and she just laughed and said, I can't tell you that. But he is white. He's older. And that's all I know. She never ever mentioned his name.
What would be older?
I don't know, because she was only 22 and
yeah.
I'm older. So he could be my age or he could have been older.
Think she was serious?
Yeah. Okay. I believe him.
Okay. Okay.
And that was the interview of Barbara Long. Now, our takeaways from that interview. What are our takeaways? One, Willie Mincy has a history of violence towards Marsha Blakely due to what Barbara Long stated regarding her eye and how red it was in the inside because it had been black the week before. So, history of violence. We also now, hold on. Okay. That when she arrived at the house at 11 o'clock, 11:05, that her and her daughter saw her purse there and saw her person missing shoe at the apartment. And apparently some police officer told Mark Blakely that those two items were not there. We also know when they interviewed Willie Mincy that the purse was in the interview room with them. So they had the purse. So I don't know who lied there. Anyways, took Marsha that day to her sister's house and brought her back between 11 and 11:30, then went and sat at the car wash, which is a little north of where the body was dumped, for till about 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:45, and then went and sat on 21st Street, which is right there as well, in the car with her daughter till 3 a.m. and didn't hear anything suspicious, didn't see anything suspicious. That's interesting. And the fact that she said multiple times, not once, not twice, but about 3 to 4 times, that Marsha never went anywhere without her purse. So when she saw her purse there, that she said, "Oh, Marsha hasn't gone far," because her purse is there, like we stated previously. What else is important? Just read my notes real quick. She found out about 1 o'clock that Marsha was dead after she got back from Elyria. But we should have read Spot Her Eye, Black Eye from Willie. Willie and her were on and off, and they were currently, according to Barbara Long, on, but they were also fighting. So maybe they were heading to their way off. And then she said she didn't owe anybody money. They wanna put this whole report like Marsha owed a drug debt, but even Barbara Long says it's not the kind of addict she was. She paid her own way, pretty much. Like, she stole for people, but she wouldn't have been in debt. And if she was in debt with somebody, that she more than likely would have shared this with Barbara Long herself. And she didn't. So Barbara Long didn't believe that she owed some like drug debt to a drug person. Coming next money. So she knew she'd come the next day. You hear anybody say on the streets about him? No. Her and Floyd were harmless. Lisa family said. Tommy's son Nick, we found that out, is up in the air about who's responsible. He said, who did it. He wants action. He won't say who it was, but he says the person, he knows the person, that they grin in his face every day. So I'm curious on who Nick Blakely believes that would be. The slipper was by the mattress, and her purse was by the door where she slept. She said like she slept on like this couch, area thing. And also said, Barbara Long said, if Marsha was scared of somebody, she would tell me. Of all people, she would tell me. No one, and then the biggest thing too is Rosenda says no one has come forward besides you to tell us where she was at what time. And we know that's a lie because the Willie Mincy said that he was with her at 2 a.m. and he was the last person to be with her. And yeah. How about both doors were open? The storm door was open, the back door was open, both doors were open. But what I found really interesting is both doors were open, but both bodies had keys on them. Well, you don't carry a key around if you leave your door open. You know what I mean? Floyd Epps wouldn't have a key on him, nor would Marsha, but they both had keys on them at their crime scene. So clearly, whatever. So we know Barbara Long dropped her off at 11:30. We know Charlton saw her at about 11:45, about 15 minutes later. She was going to turn and trick for some crack, so clearly she's probably coming down. We know that Mary Jane Gonzalez saw her between 12 and 12:30. I'm thinking it's more closer to 12:30. We know Willie Mincy was with her, said that he was with her at 2 o'clock. We know Gwen puts Willie Mincy with her at 12:30. And after 2 a.m., we clearly don't know what happened because Willie said that she just walked off and got in front of him and she never saw her again. I don't believe that. I don't believe that one bit. I think things escalated and I think they turned wrong. But anyways, next episode, we are going to go off the second interview of Delphina Geis, who is the girlfriend of Lenworth Edwards. Now, when I say girlfriend, I use that term very loosely. She was also at the same time sleeping with Shakim on and off, and she had previously been with Ian Davis. So 3 of the 4 she had been with. He was staying on and off at her house, so they were on and off hooking up, whatever. But yeah, I don't think it was like super serious. But the second interview we're gonna go over, and before we go over that, we're gonna go over the murder map that I made. I get to actually make a murder map. I made one for my RICO case for the state auditor's investigation, the radio investigation I did. I made one now for this case, and we're gonna go over that, talk about all the characters before we introduce. We kind of go over, a synopsis of a timeline of what happened, my theory on what happened, because I think I know who really also fueled this, not only Willie Mincy, but someone else that we have been talking about. But you all stay focused, Lorain County. I also, at the end of this, I want to share, I will be posting a GoFundMe. My friend Jonte Lane, who is from Lorain, since we're talking about Lorain here, she suffered a mini stroke on Thursday and due to an unruptured brain aneurysm. And I am helping raise some money helping her brother raise some money through a GoFundMe for her recovery fund. She's going to be in the hospital for the next 3 weeks. And after that, she's going to have to be going to therapy. We don't know yet, how severe the stroke, how much damage the stroke did. So she's just being in the hospital being assessed. Even if you cannot donate to the GoFundMe, please just say your prayers for Jonte Lane. She's a lifelong resident of Lorain. She's one of my very close and best friends, and she would do anything for anybody, give the shirt off her back to anyone, and is just genuinely a good person. And she doesn't deserve to be going through all these health issues, but you can't control what happens in your life. And like I said, I'm going to put underneath this episode the GoFundMe link if you would be willing to donate. If not, just say a prayer for Jonte Lane that she has a safe and speedy recovery from her, and hopefully regains all of her, fine and gross motor skills, and is able to walk and not some long-lasting damage. But as I said, we don't know yet. So stay focused, Lorain, and I will talk to you all soon. And tomorrow we will be posting the Delphina Geis interview. And if you have any questions or anything, shoot me an email. I will talk to you all soon. Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you for joining me today on Mean Street. I hope you enjoyed the show. I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider supporting our work and supporting my effort. You can support directly underneath at the Spotify donations, or you can directly give a donation at paypal.me/Mean Street, Ohio. Any donation received will help me continue to provide news to you and everyone else across Ohio and beyond. I love what I do, and I just hope to continue to do it. Thank you so much, and you have a wonderful day.